let's talk hybrid batteries. When I originally bought the Prius, I got it for $300 and I thought it was going to be a great deal. I did about a day or two's worth of research online, like heavy reading, and I consulted a couple friends who have done it, who are familiar, and I was under the impression I was going to be able to fix the hybrid battery for about $100, maybe even less, depending on how many modules I had to replace. Well, that would have been great. That would have been able to be, a couple $100 into a Prius that gets 45, 50 miles to the gallon. That would have been so good. Here's what really happened. So I took this battery apart, and the car had been sitting for at least 2 years that I know of. Could have been more. So for those of you that don't know, a hybrid battery pack is composed of, in this case, 38 different modules here. Some of them have 20, some of them like 24. Every car's different, but for the first generation Prius, it's 38. So they're all tied in series together, usually, as you can see these pins here, with connectors. So I have them all disconnected, and I have them in. So right now it's just a single battery that goes negative and positive. Each one of these is called a module. Each module has 6 cells inside of it. So there's technically 6 times 38 cells inside of each battery. Each first generation Prius battery, at least. Now, when these things are fully functioning, each one should be able to hold about 7.2 to 6 volts. So I charged them. Typically, I was hoping to charge them up and then go through and read them and find one or two, that maybe a few that don't hold their charge, replace those, put the battery back together, and we'd be good to go. That's not the case. Here's what happened. So I charged them, and I wrote down the readings here on. So charging each one takes about an hour. So I didn't want to go through the whole battery because I don't need to anymore to realize that this battery is not good. But let's say, for example, here, after I charged this very first module, it was at 8.6. I leave it 8 to 12 hours, pretty much overnight, and in the morning it read 3.4. That's not good. It shouldn't drop very much. If not, a volt tops is probably bad. Next one, 8.4. Next morning it was 1.7. 8.5 to 1.6. So they're pretty much dead. What you can do is you can recondition the batteries and what that means is charging it and discharging it, charging it and discharging it at least 2 or 3 times. So I said maybe I can bring some life back to these batteries. So typically the ones on the outside of the pack are the strongest because the ones in the middle get worn the most. So if I'm having bad readings for all the ones out here already, I know the ones in the middle are going to be completely toast. So I said, let's do this. Let's recondition a couple of the batteries, a couple of the modules, and see what happens. When I originally charged them, they had 8.3. The next day it was 0.8. So I said, wow, let's try to recondition them and see what happens. So after reconditioning, it went to from 4.3 to 0.6 volts. These two, there's no bringing them back. Now, I don't want to have to recondition all the rest of the cells to realize that there's no going back. So what this tells me is this battery, I could replace all 38 modules and have a good battery. But then I don't know if I have a bad wiring harness or if I have a bad battery ECU. There's a lot more that goes into the battery other than just the actual battery modules. Plus 38 modules at about 30 to 40 bucks a piece would end up costing me like $1,200, which won't really save me any money compared to buying a rebuilt battery. Dorman makes some, Cardone makes some. From the research I've done, people say a rebuilt battery won't last very long. The 2 manufacturers I just mentioned, they come with 3-year warranties. So I think I'm just going to go that way because I could technically build a better battery than what they're going to give me because I could rebuild this with Gen 2 modules inside, which would be the best case scenario. They will last the longest. But then again, I don't know if I'm going to have a working battery. Maybe something else is wrong with this battery too, because at this point I don't trust it whatsoever. It's garbage. I called around a couple shops that specialize in hybrid stuff, and they said to get a new one from the dealer because it would be the freshest. I would get at least another 100,000 miles out of it, but that's going to cost me just about $3,000. On a car I paid $300 for, I'm not going to spend 10 times the amount for a battery just to get it on the road. So keep in mind, it's a high mileage Prius. It's got like 220,000 miles on it. So I'm just going to buy a remanufactured battery with a 3-year warranty and hope for the best. I'm not going to spend my time rebuilding this because I've already spent a week, well, like 4 days, literally just charging these batteries to find out they don't hold a charge. A rebuilt battery is going to cost me about $1,500-ish on the top end. I found them for like $1,200, but you know, it weighs like, I think it'll weigh like 80-90 pounds, and it needs to be shipped. I'm going to try to find one locally so I can avoid shipping, especially if I end up having to warranty it. That would be a big pain in the butt. But if I can, butt squared. If I can get a refurbished one for, you know, $1,500, I planned on that when I originally bought the car, because that still puts me at under $2,000 for a Prius that gets really good mileage. So I can drive the car for like a year, 2 years maybe, and pay it off, at least what I have into it, and then sell it for a profit eventually. I'll be selling probably the SC and my Volkswagen as well, just because I don't need, this is my 5th car right now. I don't need that many cars. I have a car problem. I don't like to get rid of stuff. I get good deals on stuff and I just buy it knowing I can like get my money out of it. And you know, some people like to have their savings sit in a safe. Mine sits in the driveway. It's kind of a bad habit, but I've yet to lose money on any vehicle that I had, except for probably my daily, the IS. But I've had that thing like 6 years and I've put about 100,000 miles on it, so I can't even complain. Plus track days and track time. No real issues other than like just maintenance and servicing. So pretty soon here, it's going to probably take me, I assume, 4 to 7 days to get a battery, so you probably won't see an update on the Prius for a week or so. But I'm going to try to go work on the turbo car early next week, and this weekend I'm going to work with Cody on his turbo car, so you guys will see some more turbo IS stuff.
As much as I love the two-step, we should stop doing that in front of my house. Yeah.